Hi, my name is Mary Broussard. I'm a librarian at the Snowden Library, and today I'm going to show you some of the resources that you can use for your Spanish 111 research project. There are two resources for background information that I think would be very useful because you're going to need some background information to understand how your current events fit into the history and culture of the country. So the first one is the World Factbook, which is freely available on the internet. All you have to do is go to Google and do a search for World Factbook. It is created by the CIA, and it collects a lot of numerical information on each country, which can be kind of useful. You can get a good idea from numbers what the educational situation or economic situation is for a particular country. The other resource that I recommend would be Britannica Online. This is available through the library website. If you go to the databases page, you'll find Britannica on there. And this is a general encyclopedia in English. It provides more narrative background information on the country than the World Factbook. As you can see, there are some numbers up at the top, but below that there are several pages on Argentina and specific aspects of Argentina history and culture. We do have one print encyclopedia that's in Spanish because you will want to be using actual Spanish resources. This one is called Hispanica, and I've given you the call number here so you can go find it. It is 20 years old. However, it's still a very nice book, has very nice pictures. The Spanish in here should be pretty easy to read, so it is a really good resource for background information on a country in the Spanish language. Just keep in mind that it may be out of date. So if you actually open it up, I want to show you the entry for Argentina. It was, I think, around 15 pages long. So normally an encyclopedia entry is usually pretty short. However, the entries in this encyclopedia for countries are a good length. And there are lots of pictures and diagrams. This one is an example where it labels the provinces. Something like this will be useful for background information because a newspaper article might tell you that something happened in a particular province, and if you don't know where that is, then it may mean that you don't understand the article as well. Another important resource for you to use is a database called LexisNexis, and it is important for two reasons. One is that it has newspapers in it. The other is that it has foreign language newspapers in it. So let's start with the library homepage. You can click on the databases link, click on L, and here you will find LexisNexis Academic. So once you are in the database, if you want to search for English resources first, you can simply click on the terms here and type in your country and click search. And it will give you often around 1,000 results. It cuts you off after that, and you'll see everything here. Now, one of the very nice things about LexisNexis is that it is entirely full text. So any of these links that you see here will take you to the full text. You can see in each citation it will tell you how long each one is. So often they are not very long. The full text is right here. So this is the full text. So as you can see, it's not very long, but this is a very easy resource to use. So that is how you find English language articles. And if you go back to the home page, now you want to look for Spanish language resources. And you can click on the Search by Content tab, click on Foreign Language News, and the default is that it will search for anything that's not English. What you'll want to do is change that to Spanish. So click on Advanced Options, unclick the All Non-English, put a check mark in the box next to Spanish, and click Apply. Now remember that this is searching the full text, and if you are asking it to search for the full text of Spanish newspapers, you want to use the keywords in Spanish. So once you have an idea of what you're looking for, either through news websites, which we'll talk about in a minute, or through what you've read in English language newspapers, you can then look up your words here. So I'm going to look up Papa Francisco, which would be Pope Francis, and then click on search. So notice again it cuts you off around 1,000. Notice over here that you can click on country And then if I was interested in Argentina, I could click here. I have found that when you start looking at the Spanish language resources, a lot of these will be websites. You will see a small icon here that tells you it's going to take you someplace out of LexisNexis. It still takes you to the full text. I'm going to take this one because it's one of the longer ones at 500 words. Okay, so here is the resource. So it is indexed by LexisNexis. This means that they have vouched for the credibility of the resource, so it's a little better than what you would just find straight on the web, even though this is freely available on the web. So it is a good resource, even though it takes you outside of LexisNexis. Don't be afraid to use it if that's how you found it. So part of keeping up with current events is that you don't necessarily know what to look for, what keywords to look for. So you may want to find a list of newspapers and magazines from your country. I just did a search in Google for Argentina newspapers and came up with this site. The site as a whole is a little sketchy, but all it does is link to other newspapers. So you'll want to make sure that they're credible newspapers. This provides a really long list. I went into the Buenos Aires Herald Online, which happens to be in English. From the background research that I did in reference books, I found out that Argentina has a lot of foreign language newspapers, and I'm finding a lot of English, French, and German resources. So it was helpful to have done that background information to see that these are common to have these foreign language newspapers in Argentina. You will probably want to stick to Spanish language, but it may also be helpful to go back and forth between the English and Spanish so you can get a good idea of the topics that are going on. Then you can do searches in LexisNexis for additional information on those topics once you know what the events actually are. So finally, here's my contact information. You can find me in the library. Feel free to stop by my office. I spend a fair amount of time in the afternoons at the Research Help Desk, so feel free to find me there. I was a French and German major, so I do speak foreign languages. I know what you're going through. I don't speak Spanish, but because I have that background and you speak more Spanish than I do, I've been able to help Spanish students before. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you're having trouble finding the resources that you need.